We have so many guests and visitors today. We're going to start a minute early. Keep your seats, please. Keep your seats, and I'll ask you to stand up in just a moment. Thank you so much for being here. It's a great day to be a Kiwanian. Children need Kiwanis, and Kiwanis needs you. So please remember that as the theme we'll talk about this year. It's really good to see you. I'm Buck Lattimore. I'm the new president of the club. This is my first day presiding as your president. And there's Frank Manson back there, who told me every day after I was nominated that could be withdrawn at any time. Thank heavens the thing in the House of Representatives did not happen. I'd been worried to death, but thank you so much for sticking with me. I appreciate it very much. I'm honored to be your president. I appreciate the confidence you placed in me. And if I can quote a former president of the United States, I will do my best. That's all I can do. But I ask for your help and for God's this year. So let's work together. Let's make it a great year for Kiwanis. And I look forward to a great 12 months. Thank you so much. I want to recognize June Small. June, where are you out here? There she is. June is our president-elect. She'll be putting our programs together. She helped arrange this one for today along with Phil Kirk. We appreciate that, and we will appreciate your suggestions going to June during the year. And also let me say hey to Courtney Allen for all she does. Courtney, thank you, even under the weather, being with us today. Thank you so very much. And it seems if you're secretary or treasurer, you're under the weather today. John is not with us, John Collar. He has tested positive for COVID, so he should be getting over it by now. So hopefully keep him in your prayers. If we can all stand now, we'll start with our defining statement. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to the one child, one community at a time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clay, have you got a song for us?
I certainly have. My, what a great group it is today. In your book, on page 13, song 31, called The Star-Spangled Banner. I hope you know it.
He makes everybody look it up.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Good voice.
I did step away from the mic that I've been told about. Could we have our invocation now? Let me call on Ty Hartwell for our invocation.
Let us pray. Loving Father, we thank you for bringing us together for this meal. May you continue to live in your friendship and in harmony with one another. In a world where so many are hungry, may we eat this food with humble hearts. In a world where so many are lonely, May we share this friendship with joyful hearts. Lord, bless this food we are about to eat, and we pray, O God, that it may be good for our body and soul. And if there be any poor creature, hungry or thirsty, walking along the road, send them to us that we may share the food with them, just as you share your gifts with all of us. Amen.
Thank you, Ty. We appreciate that. You may be seated. Thank you so much. We have a number of guests here and a lot of East Carolina University alumni. We've got microphones over here. If you'll raise your hand if you have a guest, and we'll introduce you. We start right here with Sanford.
I have a guest today, is Mike Scortino. He's been a guest before. He's a prospective member, Mike Scortino.
Phil Kirk.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to pay for all my guests, but I might need a loan. First, my daughter, Angela, if you'd stand, Angela Kirk Prenovo. She has 2 degrees from ECU. Is that, you passed the second? Okay. And sitting beside her is Craig Souza. Craig, if you'd stand. Craig is the former chair of the ECU Board of Trustees. He's the former vice chair of the Board of Governors. And when I was the secretary of DHHS, he was the only staff member who had the right to sign my name for me. So I didn't know him very well when I appointed him to do that. But Craig, thank you. Tom Campbell, you may have seen on TV occasionally from TV Spin, or Spin, TV Spin, NC Spin. I'm a bit nervous, introducing you. He's the former deputy secretary of the Treasurer's Office with Harlan Boyle, so he's smart. So he's also on the ECU Board of Visitors. The standards are not very high for that board, but because I'm on it, and I believe that's all.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Phil. Who's next?
We have a guest in the back.
Okay.
Tariq. He is one of our Holly Springs Key Club members. He just graduated from UNC in marketing. And so he is looking for his next step in his career. So if anybody has any opportunities in communications, marketing, advertising, come see Tariq. He's one of our Kiwanis.
Mel Broughton.
Well, Kiwanis, I'm pleased to have my good friend Phil Hoff. Phil is a vice president at BA Hoff Inc., which is a commercial hardware concern here in Raleigh. He's also a very proud graduate of East Carolina University. Go Pirates!
Who else?
Fellow Kiwanians, it's my pleasure to have my wife, E, who attended East Carolina with me, and if she can put up with me for 48 more days, we'll have been married 50 years.
Great. Hey. Congratulations.
The main reason she came today is because she wanted to hear Phil.
Very good. Thank you so much. Okay. Hamp has a guest.
I'm your diversity member here. I have 2 degrees from LSU, but I do have a son-in-law that teaches at East Carolina. Your guest today is this young man who is president of the Action Club. He enjoys the social interaction that you provide him. When he finds out I'm going to Kiwanis, he doesn't ask if he can go. He tells me he's coming. This is Lennon Pires.
Thank you so much. We're glad to have you today. Hamp Fields.
Fellow Kiwanians, I'm really happy to introduce you to a wonderful couple. They're friends of mine. Also East Carolina alumni. And the story that this is Jim Newman and his wife, lovely wife, Judy Newman. And the story that Jim has shared with me before, he played, I don't remember what year it was, Jim, but on the football team for East Carolina, got injured while he was a player, and to show his dedication, he knew he couldn't play any more football, but he joined the cheerleading squad and was one of the main cheerleaders for the team after that. So I think he's a very dedicated East Carolina Pirate.
No doubt. Thank you for being with us today. I'm sorry I missed you just a minute ago. Did you want to say something?
Speaking of the NC State
Okay.
quarterback.
Okay, I've got Robert here.
It's my pleasure today to have Keith Sherman. I met Keith when we were working together to develop the site for the food shuttle and the Meals on Wheels, right? And it turns out he lives right across the street from my brother-in-law. He's retired from Wells Fargo and First Horizon Bank. Welcome, Keith.
Frank, I believe you have a guest.
I've been playing tennis with Steve Greer for over 20 years. But what's really important is he was recruited by Pat Dye to play quarterback for the Pirates. And, you know, we got so many things in common. We both have a son, his oldest, my youngest, named Andrew. Steve graduated from East Carolina, and I've driven through Greenville from time to time. Welcome, prospective member Steve Greer.
Steve, we're glad to have you. Thank you. Does anyone else have a guest? Are there any members that, no, I'm kidding. Okay, thank you all for being with us today. You've honored the Chancellor by being here, and you've honored us by being here. Membership welfare, let me just mention a couple of things. There will be a celebration of the life of our longtime member, Bob Brooks, on Sunday from 1 to 5 o'clock at his home on Montgomery Street. We hope all of you could go. Yes, do you have an announcement?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for your support. Chemo has some advantages. You can decide not to wear your hair one day or, you know, wear it, but everything has been going good. I just have one more treatment, but please keep Jeff, my husband, in your prayers. He's going to be going through a bone marrow transplant in December. So you probably won't see me again until for a while. So, but thank you all so much for your support. It does mean so much to me.
Thank you. Courtney, you're in our prayers, and we appreciate you so much. Do we have any other membership welfare items? If not, let me move to the birthdays real quick. We've got John Alexander, Carol LeClaire, Jefferson Griffin, Jim Little, John Ramsey, and Ty Hartwell that was here a minute ago. We've birthdays that are very close here. Let's wish all of them a happy birthday with a round of applause. Let me mention a couple of other things under announcements. Our regular monthly board meeting is scheduled for this Tuesday. I'll have to let you know about that because John Collar is under the weather. If he's available, we will meet on Tuesday. If not, we'll have to change it to another date, but let's plan on Tuesday. Serving at the Salvation Army will be on the fourth Friday. We need 2 top volunteers from 4:30 to 6:30. That's October the 27th, and I believe you've already volunteered. Thank you. Mill Burning Night is this week. Mark it down, Mill Burning Night. And Mel Broughton is in charge of it. You want to make an announcement, please, sir?
At 5:30 or so, and dinner at 6:30, and have you out of there not too late at all. But come on out, should be a great time, and bring a Thursday, what day is that, the 12th?
The 12th.
Well, Thursday the 12th, a week from yesterday, so come on out.
And let me say thank you to the folks that are providing the wine, and Mel and I are providing the beer, so come on out. There'll be a little happy hour before we get into some good food. And I've just been told they will have the oyster casserole this year. They will have the oyster casserole. I was going to get you, I just hadn't got there yet, okay? June, come on, since you're up here. Let's be recognized, June. This is the month that we have our annual report from the foundation, and this is our annual meeting for the foundation. So, June, it's all yours.
Thank you. I didn't want to be pushy, but I didn't want to be forgotten either. This is the annual Kiwanis Foundation meeting, and it's to be held on the 1st October date that we have a full club meeting. So I needed to make sure that I got Buck's attention here. The board nominating committee has selected 3 individuals who are willing to serve 3 years on the foundation board starting next year. And these individuals, I would like each of them to stand if they are here. Tanner Crawford, Martin Green, and Wes Tripp. So they have been nominated, and we're going to vote on them, and I'm inquiring whether there are any nominations from the floor. Hearing none, thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion to elect the 3 club members to serve 3-year terms, and they've agreed to serve if elected. Have a motion. Do I have a second motion? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Congratulations to the 3, and we look forward to you serving on the foundation board.
Robert, I think you have an announcement about the membership drive which is going on. Do you have anything to say about that? Well, if not, since you don't have a microphone, let me just say, Robert's our chairman of the membership drive. It goes on through September through December, correct? And bring your new members in. We appreciate the folks that are here today that are interested. We will let you all know about that. And I was supposed to call on Jason a while ago. I forgot about it. Jason?
Thank you. Just real quick about the pancake breakfast. Slots are filling up. We're in great shape. We are searching for one key role, a kitchen lead, from the 10 a.m. to 12 noon shift. So we need a second shift kitchen lead. That's one area that we're a little bit short. But the next thing we're going to do is reach out to our Circle K, our Key Club, and our Action Club to help us with the cleanup on that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. And remember, Saturday, October the 21st is our pancake breakfast. That is our big fundraiser of the year. Please participate. We need you to help. We need your dollars. We need your manpower also, or woman power. We need woman power and manpower. And we will be really successful again this year. Okay, let me just mention one last thing, the Change the Future campaign. We came up a little short last year on it, but we don't want to do that this year. The jar is out as you come in. If you'll empty any change in your pocket into that, and also on your birthday, if you'll put a check in there for the number of years of your birth, that is a requirement of Kiwanis Club. We appreciate it. Well, we just made up that requirement, but it's okay. We're glad to have the East Carolina people here today, and to do our introduction, our own member, Phil Kirk.
Don't worry, Tom's not going to speak. He's going to record it. Our speaker today is Dr. Philip Rogers, the 12th Chancellor of East Carolina University. As a native North Carolinian, Chancellor Rogers was raised in Greenville, and for those of you who don't know much, that's the home of ECU. He earned a bachelor's degree in communications from Wake Forest University, a master's degree in public administration from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and a doctorate degree in higher education management with distinction from the University of Pennsylvania. Chancellor Rogers first came to ECU as a policy analyst in 2007, and a year later he became the Chief of Staff. As Chief of Staff, he was responsible for external relations for the university, including government relations, that means lobbying, marketing and communications, public service, and policy development. He left ECU to become Senior Vice President for Learning and Engagement at the American Council on Education, a very influential and prestigious organization. And then thanks to the wisdom of the ECU Board of Trustees, the UNC Board of Governors, and UNC President Peter Hans, Dr. Rogers returned to ECU 2.5 years ago. I won't try to list the accomplishments and progress made during his short tenure, because I'm sure he's going to do that. By the way, that's why Tom and I, who are members of the Board of Visitors, that's why we wanted him to come here today, was because we know many of you, including ourselves, were not aware of all the progress that has just recently been made. I will mention that he has launched a new strategic plan titled Future Focused, Innovation Driven. Future Focused, Innovation Driven.
The plan is guiding ECU's steadfast commitment to be a national model. Notice I use the word national model for student success, public service, and regional transformation. The plan also establishes a 5-year vision to advance social and economic progress, workforce success, and rural health care or health well-being. I hope the Chancellor will tell you about the integration of Vidant Health and the ECU Brody School of Medicine, which will serve Eastern North Carolina under the new shared brand of ECU Health. He and his wife, Dr. Rebecca Rogers, a 2-time ECU alumna, have 2 sons, Grayson and Dean. And as y'all know, I always try to find out something that's not in his bio. He is an avid tennis player, and while he was in high school, he played in the NC High School Championship for tennis. I couldn't find out how he did, so I got a feeling it wasn't very good. It must not have been very good, or he would have highlighted. I understand that both his mother and father are also good tennis players. By the way, his father is the interim pastor at Wake Forest Baptist Church now after serving 37, 38 years in Greenville. Finally, I want to mention that our annual presidents of our Kiwanis Club luncheon recently, someone made the point, and it may have been Nick, I'm not sure, he talked right much, I think maybe this was his point, that we needed to have more young people in their 30s and 40s to give the programs on Friday. So today I'm proud to present the 40-year-old Chancellor of ECU, Dr. Philip Rogers.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I've heard so much about the Phil Kirk introductions at Kiwanis Club meetings, and that one didn't disappoint. He mentioned that he couldn't find how I did in that state tennis tournament, and there is a good reason why that's not out there, because I got beat badly. But it's a good story, because the person that I played was named John Isner. Anybody ever heard of John Isner before? Our tennis stars have. John Isner is 6'9", almost 6'10". He was a student at Greensboro Page High School, just down the road. He finished at Greensboro. He went to the University of Georgia. He was the #1 tennis player at Georgia for 4 years, and then he had just a tremendous professional tennis career playing at Wimbledon and US Open, Australian, French. And he holds the record, world record, for the longest tennis match in the history of professional tennis. He played a match at Wimbledon for 11 hours and 5 minutes. It lasted 3 days to complete the match, and he won it. And he had that same 150-mile-an-hour serve in high school. Now, he also holds the record for the shortest tennis win in world history, and that was when he beat me in high school. So he has the bookends on the Rogers tennis career, and nonetheless, I don't get to get out on the court as much as I'd like, but I'll try to keep the forehand and the backhand going as much as possible. Thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you for the invitation to be with you today. It always warms my heart to look out, no matter where I go across the state, across the country, and see purple and gold, to see great Pirates, special friends who are here with us today. Of course, thank you for your service on the Board of Visitors, Tom, as well. You've been a great advocate spreading the word through written word most recently about East Carolina University. The Newmans are here. They are always present. I don't think I've ever seen them in anything other than purple and gold. The Vernons are here. Not only are they great Pirates, but they are great personal friends and have been for a long time. And of course, my longtime pal, Craig Souza, who has done so much for East Carolina University over the years. That's what we're about at ECU. We're about family, supporting each other, telling our stories, and advocating for the great things that our university is doing. So I feel right at home as I look out today, and I thank you for the chance to be here with you. As Phil said, I'm in year 3 on the job at East Carolina, and I have deep roots within the institution. I can look out my office window and probably just go 2 miles across the community of Greenville and find my childhood home. If you look back about 112 years, my great-grandmother was one of the early students when we were East Carolina Teachers Training School. coming to school at ECU in 1913. My mother has a degree from ECU. My wife has 2 degrees. My father-in-law, whose fraternity brother is a guest here today. So many different connections to this university, and that's why it's so deeply personal to me to have come back to Greenville from Washington, D.C. Really was the best decision of my life. And one of the things I learned as senior vice president at the American Council on Education, as we oversaw about 5,000 or 6,000 colleges and universities around the United States, is that the very best type of institution to be able to make a difference in the lives of the students and the communities and the regions that we serve are institutions just like ECU that have missions that run deep, that can make a difference in student success and access and affordability and high quality educational experiences. And so I'm about influencing through our mission each and every day and through that new strategic plan. We don't nearly have enough time to talk about all the incredible things that are happening at East Carolina University, but I'll tell you, there's one thing that is fundamentally driving every university, every college in the American higher education landscape, and that's the effort we're all working hard to make to better affirm and strengthen the public's trust and the public's confidence in higher education. That's what we're here to do, is to serve students and to give people a better quality of life by having a college degree, a bachelor's degree. And that's a space that I'm a little bit worried about today. And I think my fellow chancellors across the UNC system would say the same. All you have to do to take a look at the national, local, and the state media. Most recently in July, there was a Gallup poll that talked about the confidence, the favorability rating of American higher education across our country. And when I looked at those data, they were compelling to me in a startling way to know what our fellow citizens in the United States think about the future of higher education. They've done these polls for numerous years now, but if you go back to 2015, the favorability rating, or the confidence that the American public has in higher education, was hovering around 60%. If you fast forward to their poll in 2018, that number dropped down to about 48%. And if you fast forward to this past July, that number dropped down to a confidence rating in American higher education of 36%. A startling, nearly 20 percentage point drop over the last 7 to 10 years. And when those narratives start to persist in the higher education landscape, along with them comes the panic button that people begin to press. And that panic button begins to induce what I call panic-inducing narratives that unfold within the media. And we start to see narratives that evolve around, is higher education really a good return on investment? Are the people that are graduating from our colleges and universities going out and getting a good job when they graduate and engaging within their communities? Is higher education really affordable? Are we advancing an affordable educational experience for our students? I like to think in the University of North Carolina system, we are. We're in our 8th consecutive year of no tuition increases for undergraduate resident students of the state of North Carolina at ECU and across all 17 campuses. We're one of the most affordable higher education systems in the country, and I'm proud of that. But even with those types of advancements, there's a kernel of truth in many of the negative narratives that are persisting about higher education today. But I like to think at ECU, we're defying those trends today in ways that we never have before. We've been delivering on the promises of opportunity to the people of our state for more than 115 years now. And we are a good return on investment. We are an affordable educational institution. We do graduate our students on time with a well-rounded, engaged educational experience. And we do what higher education was built to do, what ECU was built to do back in 1907, which is graduate students and get them a good job, put them back out into the economy and into society so that they can contribute in meaningful ways. And the reason why we're able to do that is because we've built a plan, we've built a strategy to do that. And you heard a little bit about it from Phil in the introduction. We just launched a new strategic plan. We're calling it Future-Focused, Innovation-Driven. And that was built a little bit from my experiences at the national level, watching institutions across America and what worked for them in advancing a higher education experience. And it is embedded in every way in the 3 core components of our mission that he mentioned when he introduced me a few minutes ago. We are doubling down on being a high-quality institution that spends every waking moment of what we do focused on student success, on public service, and on regional transformation. And we've built a 5-year vision for East Carolina University that is centered and is embracing the concepts of advancing social and economic progress throughout North Carolina. It's focused on doubling down on the concept of workforce success, not only our workforce at ECU, but the 29 county region all throughout Eastern North Carolina, working with industry and business and partners to advance good relationships with our educational institution. And finally, he mentioned the partnership with our health system. We are focusing each and every day on driving forward good, successful rural health and well-being practices for the people of Eastern North Carolina. And we know that when we deliver in those areas, we're creating tangible evidence of why the public should trust in higher education, why our local communities and our region should have confidence in what we do, and why the state of North Carolina should continue to invest in us in meaningful ways so that we can return that value back to the state of North Carolina. I've got a lot of examples I could share in that space, and I know how these things work. When the clock hits 1:30, everybody gets up and leaves, right? So I'm going to power through 3 or 4 of those and finish in time because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for a dialogue and questions. I think the first that is most prominent to me is if you walk around our campus, all you have to do is take a stroll through East Carolina University, and I do it every day. I set aside time to walk around our campus, engage with our students and our faculty to hear about what's on their minds. What you'd find at ECU, you were doing that this afternoon, is a vibrant and engaged, passionate campus community that is voting with its feet. We're navigating a post-pandemic environment as we speak, and we're beginning for the first time since I've been here over the last 3 or 4 years to see an enrollment landscape and a set of enrollment strategies and retention strategies that are beginning to pay off for East Carolina University. We welcomed 5,600 students, new students to our campus this year. That's the largest freshman class we've had in probably 3 or 4 years. We welcomed 5,000 students into our residence halls, and they're busting at the seams from a capacity standpoint to be able to serve such an influx of students. We've seen a 4% increase in the number of first-time freshman students that have come in the door at East Carolina University this year. A 1% increase in transfer students, which is a hugely important population as we think about moving students from community colleges to 4-year degrees. We've seen an 11% increase in the number of out-of-state students that we have, and we've been able to achieve the increase in that goal without sacrificing a single seat for North Carolina residents. And when I started, that was one of the goals from an enrollment standpoint for me. We had about 10% of our incoming student population coming from out of state, and we've been able to move that up to around the 20% number because we know we bring students in from out of state, we train them here, we get them a good degree, and then we try to keep them in North Carolina to add back to our economy in meaningful ways. I have to thank the people of Wake County for making their way east. We have 4,000 of our students from Wake County, which is probably the largest population from any county outside of Pitt County coming to East Carolina University. And we have to continue to invest in strategic partnerships like the ones that we're doing with Wake Tech and Scott Rawls, the great president there, who I worked with when I was in DC, but he was at Northern Virginia Community College. We've partnered with Scott and his team to actually take one of our most dynamic and growing and high market demand programs in industrial technology, lifted it off our campus in Greenville, run it down 264 and 64 to Raleigh, and placed it on the campus of Wake Tech. And we are serving students who are getting bachelor's degrees, who are transferring from the Wake Tech Community College to East Carolina University without having to set foot out of Raleigh and Wake County. And those are the types of future-focused, innovative programs that we're trying to put together from an enrollment standpoint that will give people better accessible and affordable opportunities to have an educational experience at ECU. We're also working hard on growth opportunities in the online space. We continue to be #1 in North Carolina, #9 in the country in delivering online educational experiences, and we're on the verge of launching some of the most innovative online programs in probably the last decade or more at ECU. We had tremendous growth in the 90s, and then everybody decided to move online, and we saw a little bit of a plateau. And we're now partnering with the UNC system to begin to scale our online enrollment in ways that we've never seen before. There's a lot of momentum on the front for ECU with respect to enrollment and new students coming in the door, and we want to keep that momentum going, especially at a time when you've probably heard from other chancellors who have been in this group. We're seeing dramatic decline in the college-going age population of students between the age of 18 and 24 due to demographic change in our country. And so best year in the last 3 or 4 years from an enrollment standpoint at East Carolina University. The second area that I think demonstrates ECU's delivery on a good ROI, on a good value to the state of North Carolina and the people that we serve, is the fact that we are the core delivery mechanism of economic development to the 29-county region of Eastern North Carolina. And that's driven in so many ways through the partnership that Phil mentioned with the ECU health system. For 40 years, ECU had been engaged with Vidant Health, a 9-hospital system across Eastern North Carolina serving 1.5 million patients. We dated for 40 years. We had a great relationship, but we had never taken the step of getting engaged and getting married. And when I came in, we had some very honest and fruitful and transparent conversations about the value it would bring to connecting our two organizations in a more meaningful way. And within the first 6 months, that was my top priority for our institution, because we know not only serving the healthcare needs of the people of this state is of value, but the economic impact that it brings to the table. And so we pretty quickly entered into an arrangement that would rebrand the health system as a university academic community-based hospital system. One of the top 10 largest hospital systems now in the country, sitting in Eastern North Carolina, that now has the name brand of ECU Health. And we're working hard each and every day to integrate financially, to integrate clinically, philanthropically, legally, and the list goes on to be one connected health system. And as we do that, both the impact of ECU as an academic enterprise and the impact of ECU as a health enterprise generates more than a $7 billion economic impact on the state of North Carolina. We contribute to nearly 60,000 jobs in Eastern North Carolina as the largest 2 employers within our region. And it doesn't stop there. Healthcare is one dynamic impact area for us in the economic development space, but we're really doubling down in the workforce industry partnership area as well, with folks in the pharmaceutical industry, advanced manufacturing space, and most recently we've moved into the creator economy. If any of you have any engagement on social media activities with Instagram and Twitter or X, I should say now, and TikTok, and all of the ways in which people are creating their own content and putting it out into the world, these are becoming viable and thriving businesses through YouTube and through other spaces, and it's requiring the development of a new workforce that is not ready for those populations. And so we just announced within the last year a new partnership with the multi-billion-dollar creator economy and YouTube that is focused on ECU being the exclusive educational provider for the content creator economy around the world. Our partnership is with YouTube and with Mr. Beast, which is the largest content creator company in the world. He has 265 million followers around the globe, multi-billion-dollar evaluation. And one of the things they said to us was, we don't have a challenge hiring people. We have a challenge having to train them for 6 months once they come in the door. And it's wasting our time, it's costing us money, and we're not able to move at the rate of speed that we want to move. And so we stepped back and said, let us figure out how we can help. And so we've developed an online credential that anybody who's coming through the creator economy will be able to take and will be able to be ready on day one to contribute to one of the world's most evolving economies in our industry. So many other examples of partnerships with adult learners who are coming through the system as the most prevalent learner to move into our higher education system today. And we're very proud to be a catalyst in the regional economic development industry in Eastern North Carolina. Part of what drives that economic development is a strong, substantive research enterprise at universities across North Carolina. And we have one of those. We're very proud that over the last 2 years, we've set single-year records each year for the amount of sponsored research dollars that have come into East Carolina University. We were at $75 million last year. We ended the year this year for another single-year historic record of $86.2 million in sponsored research that have come in the door. That was across 438 sponsored research projects for our faculty at the federal, state, and local level. We've seen a 450% increase in our research dollars coming in the door since I got here in 2020. And from an academic standpoint, from an impact standpoint in the region and an economic development standpoint, research is a massive priority for who we are and what we do. And it really runs the gamut of practical-based research impact. So we've got faculty members like Dr. Rukia Van Dross, who's in our medical school, who is literally on the ground developing cancer therapeutic treatments to save people's lives. And I've met people who have experienced and benefited from those therapeutics that she has developed. She was recently recognized when North Carolina was named the top state in the country for business 2 years in a row. She was the lead featured faculty member on CNBC when they made that announcement to demonstrate how research and innovation can make a difference in the lives of people. It ranges from cancer therapeutics to going all the way to the coast, to our Coastal Studies Institute campus, where we have faculty members that are doing millions of dollars a year in research on marine and coastal ecosystems, all the way to faculty members who are doing research in the humanities and leading the North Carolina Literary Review and generating resources in those particular spaces. So we're about impact-based research, practice-based research at ECU that makes the difference in the lives of the people that we serve. Philanthropy is another area where we've seen the university community come together and really step up to be able to demonstrate the good return on investment that we mean to the people of North Carolina. We set a goal for $500 million to be raised in a public phase for our latest campaign that we've called Pursue Gold. It ends in December of this year, and we completed that campaign 5 months ago. We've raised almost $510 million to support academic initiatives at ECU. When I got here, we were raising about $50 million a year. This past year, we raised almost $100 million in 1 year at ECU, which is a single-year record for our institution. We brought in the single largest gift in university history to name our scholars program, the Brinkley Lane Scholars Program. That was a $30 million gift and provides full tuition, room and board, study abroad experiences, experiential learning opportunities for the best and the brightest students to come to ECU. We've done the same thing on the athletics front, brought in our largest gift ever to name the new indoor performance facility after a local Raleigh family, Van and Jennifer Isley. We are on the path to continuing to set records each and every year in our philanthropic giving. And as we think about tying that back to the enrollment and the student success space, the biggest focus area for us over the next 2 to 3 years is going to be scholarships, because we're in such a competitive landscape right now of being able to attract and retain students to our campus that we have to be able to put our money where our mouth is and bring them in with a good investment on the scholarship side of the house. I think perhaps the most significant example of ECU building and generating the trust and the confidence in the people of North Carolina has been what has evolved in this past legislative session. And I'm really proud of how we've rebuilt, reestablished trust with our partners just down the road here at the North Carolina General Assembly. Being a public institution, the state appropriations that we receive, those are the resources that fuel our mission. Those are the resources that allow us to grow and to make an impact on the people of North Carolina. And just like research, just like philanthropy, just like enrollment, we had our best year ever at the North Carolina General Assembly as the session concluded with the approval of the budget just a few weeks ago. Our top priority was salaries for our faculty and staff. Retaining really, really good people at East Carolina University, at NC State, at Chapel Hill, Greensboro, across the board, is no doubt the top priority in a very competitive employment market. And so the legislature came through this year, provided 7% salary increases over the course of the biennium for ECU's faculty and staff. And that goes a long way, being in a rural environment, recruiting people to stay there and to deliver on our mission. On the operations side of the house, we had a number of top priorities in the legislature this year focused on advancing and growing the primary healthcare workforce for the state of North Carolina. And we brought in almost $20 million in recurring and non-recurring funds to be able to expand the class size of ECU's Brody School of Medicine from 90 students up to 120 students. Our goal at ECU is to produce medical students that go into family medicine and primary care, try to keep them in North Carolina from a residency standpoint. And if you go to school here, you do your residency here, the likelihood of them staying here and practicing in rural areas goes up exponentially. And ECU keeps more of its medical students in the state of North Carolina than any other medical school in our state. And we're very proud of that, and we're going to continue on that road. We're working to grow our physician assistant workforce, and so those fundings are going to help us double the size of our physician's assistant program in an online format. We're looking to grow the size of our nursing school, because if you sit in the board meetings at the ECU health system, there's just not enough nurses to be able to fill the needs that we have. And so we received resources to be able to advance nursing preceptorships all across Eastern North Carolina. I think perhaps some of the most significant investments we saw this year from the legislature were on the capital and the construction side of the house. $200 million are coming to East Carolina University this year for new capital projects, whether it's going to be repairing and renovating existing facilities like our Howell Science Center, which literally has insulation coming out of the ceiling that we need to completely revamp that facility, to another $50 million to add on to the authorization that we have to build a new medical education building. That authorization now is up to $265 million to build a new medical facility in Greenville, among so many other needs that the legislature is going to be able to help us fulfill this year on the capital front. But I think even beyond those big wins, the two most impressive that are coming in the door for ECU this year, one is in the healthcare space and one is in the innovation space. We are working in collaboration with our colleagues at UNC hospitals to advance an effort that we are calling NC Care. And this is about a $410 million investment in the future of rural healthcare in Eastern North Carolina, where we'll go out and build 3 acute rural care centers across our state to be able to triage some of the most critical needs that happen in rural counties. We'll be able to create clinically integrated networks. We'll be able to advance behavioral health care for children within our region in so many other ways in one of the poorer parts of our state to support rural health care needs. And you've probably heard a lot about the new program called NC Innovation, a $500 million investment by the North Carolina General Assembly to take the state of North Carolina from being number 2 in research, yet number 20 in commercializing that research and bridging those gaps together. And so what NC Innovation is going to do is going to provide wraparound services for us to take our great faculty researchers who come up with incredible ideas and turn those ideas into new businesses and new industry that will serve the state of North Carolina. A lot is happening. And because of that, we're beginning to see some great wins in terms of moving up nearly 40 points in the U.S. News and World Report rankings this year, moving into the top 20% of social mobility rankings throughout national universities in the country. Our Miller School of Entrepreneurship is now in the top 50 for entrepreneurship schools based on the Princeton Review. Our students who graduate ECU, go back to return on investment. 90% of our students who graduate either have a job or are back in some educational experience like graduate school within 6 months of graduation. And that's a good dollar-on-dollar return on investment to the state of North Carolina, among so many other opportunities that we have to serve. We are on the road to developing and continuing to expand a high-quality academic experience at ECU. I think I heard you say earlier that I grew up the son of a pastor in Eastern North Carolina, and there's nothing I like to do more than to evangelize about the great university in Greenville that is East Carolina University. And I see a lot of purple and gold out here today, but for those of you who are not affiliated with ECU, maybe we converted a few with some of the wins that we've had in this experience. So I'm looking at the clock. It looks like there's about 8 or 10 minutes left, and I want to pause there because there's plenty more to say, but I want to make sure there's time for Q&A.
I think I can holler pretty well. Okay, you keep mentioning rural healthcare, and I've heard a lot about that. And I know that the idea behind having your med school down there to try to get them to go out, but that could be just chin music, and that's some type of an economic incentive for a med school graduate to say, okay, I will go to Plymouth. No, I know you don't need it. I know I don't need it. But I will go to Plymouth or Cadito or wherever else, kind of like the Teaching Fellows Program or something like that. Is there anything like that in the works?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, there's a reason why we keep our med school tuition the lowest med school tuition in the country. And it's because we know that if those students come out of their medical school experience with high loads of debt, they can't afford to go to one of those places and practice and set up shop to provide medical care in Hyde County or Deep Run or some other place in Eastern North Carolina because it's expensive to set up a medical practice. And so we've made a commitment to keeping our medical school tuition at a rate that can be paid off in a very small amount of time if they have any debt at all whatsoever. But we've really been working with the legislature over the last 2 years to develop a Teaching Fellows-like program. We call it a rural residency program, where the legislature provides resources to us and those students can leave our medical school. They can go out to one of these rural locations with state support to be able to live in those communities, build relationships with people in those communities, add value to them, and then hopefully stay and live and work there one day. Probably the best model of that is in dental education, in our dental school, where we've set up 8 service learning centers around the state of North Carolina. And our dental students who we admit from places like Mitchell County out in Spruce Pine or Ahoskie, we intentionally admit students from those communities. We bring them into ECU, they graduate with extremely low amounts of debt, and they make a commitment before they even come here that they're going to go back into those communities. And so we place them back in service learning centers. They reconnect with their communities their 4th year, and then they immediately go back into practicing in those areas. So it is a very challenging model at a time when we're seeing inflation and costs rising to get people back in rural spaces. Thank you. Great point. Please.
So how do you go about, there's a widespread perception that the online education is just not as rigorous, and we could talk about University of Phoenix or New Hampshire or whatever that we see out there. How do you go about proving that your online efforts are equally rigorous?
Yeah, well, there's a gigantic gap between those for-profit online providers like Phoenix and even some of the others in the Western Governors space, which focuses on competency-based education, and a number of institutions are working at scale without perhaps advancing the quality of those programs. And so we use our traditional ECU faculty to deliver the same exact educational experience that you might get in the classroom at ECU in an online setting. And in a lot of situations, sometimes it's even more rigorous based on the product that we've built at ECU. And I think that's why over the years, we've probably plateaued a little bit in terms of the enrollment that we've had in those programs. I mean, we had a fast growing online program in the early 2000s. And it hasn't skyrocketed as much as I think some of these other for-profit providers have, because we've been so focused on the quality aspect of it. And now we're working on leveraging some of the new technologies that we have in play to be able to plug our faculty and educational system into some of those new technologies to be able to deliver that same high quality at a larger scale. If we had more time, we could talk a lot about the Project Kitty Hawk system that the UNC system is launching to ensure that quality stays in place.
Well, I certainly learned a lot. Thank you. I got a little story about EC that I know you will appreciate. My wife graduated with 27 others at Grimsley High School in Greensboro. And they all went down to EC, and some of them were talking, and my wife, they were talking about, well, we should all be able to get through, you know, East Carolina's not all that hard. And at the end of 2 years, she was the only one left standing. But she had to transfer. She wanted to be in dental hygiene. She transferred to Carolina, but she liked East Carolina better.
There's a question in the back. Sorry about that. I'd have taken that microphone sooner.
I'm a product of the Leo J.U. days, but my question is, back in the late 80s, early 90s, the university had a department on underwater archaeology, and I know they were instrumental in the identification and salvaging of the Queen Anne's Revenge, which was Blackbeard's flagship in the Beaufort Inlet. Is that department still, is that division still in active underwater archaeology?
Absolutely. In fact, we have a West Research Campus at ECU. We have thousands of acres of campus space at ECU. We have a main campus, a health sciences campus, a coastal studies institute, which is more marine ecosystems focused. But we also have a West Research Campus where all of those pieces of the Queen Anne's Revenge that have come up from the Atlantic are housed and cared for and continue to be analyzed just a mile outside of Greenville. So if you make a trip down, we'll take you over there and let you see it face to face. It's a very, very impressive place. Thank you all.
The Kiwanis Club gives a book each week to one of the local schools, and I'm going to get Dr. Rogers to sign this so we can go ahead and present it. Thank you so very much. Let me remind you, Mill Bernie Night is this Thursday. Please be there. Let me remind you, there is no meeting next Friday, no meeting this coming Friday because of Mill Bernie Night. But thank you all for coming today. Have a great day. Safe trip home. We're adjourned.